I was invited on the Whatever podcast several months ago. However, I just didn't want to go out to California, so I declined. But apparently they're about to sue a woman over false allegations, and I would love to see what's going on here.
Wilson and Brian Atlas of the Whatever podcast are looking into suing Tilly Middlehurst for defamation after she just publicly called Andrew Wilson a rapist on her platform.
And I wonder what grounds she had to call somebody a rapist on their platform. I would love to hear what that is.
Let's get right into it.
Okay.
If you don't know who any of these people are, Andrew Wilson is the host of a podcast called The Crucible, and is also a regular guest on the Whatever podcast.
Yeah, this guy essentially monetizes him shitting on dumb, mindless bimbos every time he shows up on this podcast. I think he's hilarious. I've maybe seen like one time where he's ever been remotely matched, but he's otherwise a pretty well-spoken, good head on his shoulders individual from what I've seen.
Podcast where he is more widely known for
I know this chick because she's the chick that hoed up on a recent kick stream. I think this is Not So Erudite. I think this is Destiny's old co-host. I have no idea who the rest of these women are. Probably dumb hoes who, by the way, do get like publicly shamed every time they're on this podcast, but they agree to do it because people love jerking off to stupid women. That is the truth. If you're ever wondering why so many of these dumb bimbos keep showing up on this podcast, it's because their OnlyFans numbers skyrocket because people get turned on by women just being stupid pieces of shit. Yeah, real shit, real shit.
Being the bad smoky man who yells at drunk OnlyFans girls, and then the pickle incident.
All right, bro, I can't do it. Here.
All right. I'm supposed to open the pickle jar?
Yeah.
Really immature.
It's all fucking slick now.
It's a little,
See, it is.
I gotta grip it.
Uh-oh, Andrew. If you can't open it either.
Uh-oh.
I can't grip the fucker.
Uh-oh.
Like, I gotta have a way to grip it.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, man, I'm not going to guilt a guy for not opening a fucking jar of pickles. Sometimes it's fucking hard, bro.
We have Jake
You'll
try.
see the same thing. Try it. Nah, you fucker.
Brian Atlas is the host of the Whatever podcast, and I doubt you have lived your life online without seeing at least a few clips from his show.
Sure.
And finally, Tilly Middlehurst is a Cambridge graduate debate bro who actually once famously debated Charlie Kirk. Now, I'm not a huge fangirl of any of these people or their shows, but I have to admit that both Andrew Wilson and Tilly Middlehurst are really great debaters. And until recently, I actually did have quite a bit of respect for Tilly because she seems to be very articulated, restrained, and unemotional, even during some of the most challenging debate topics.
Interesting.
However, she just f***ed up so bad. Let me just show you the clip. Tilly Middlehurst is on the left, and in this live stream, she is talking to another debate bro who goes by Not So Erudite.
He's a rapist. Andrew Wilson's a rapist. I saw you did you sit with Andrew Wilson? That's one thing I would disagree with you doing, which is interesting. Like maybe that's the where the debate
Andrew Wilson
happen.
Okay, why did this woman just call another man so casually a rapist, and why did Erudite not say a single thing? OMG, it's your girlfriend, Techie? Yeah, I remember people thought that me and Erudite were dating. Bro, I've talked to this woman one time over a voice call. That's it. I never dated this chick. I don't know why the fuck people were saying that shit at all.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I just worry immediately for your safety in that moment because of the fact that he's a rapist. Andrew Wilson's a rapist. I mean, he's admitted on live streams before on his podcast that he doesn't really believe in what he understands the modern version of consent to look like. And his entire career is on a foundational premise that you get clicks by bullying underage girls or women who are underqualified to speak about political problems. And I'm not saying that that's you. I actually don't think that is you at all. And I think that he went out on a limb when he debated you because that's not usually the type of person.
This bitch is retarded. I think it's perfectly fine for a man to debate what consent is because what consent is has changed. What rape used to be is I have a gun to your head, I'm gonna rape you, and if you try to resist me as I rape you, I'll slit your throat, I'll have you bleed out in the street. A famous audio bit from a Nick Fuentes stream. Now is, oh, we had sex ago 5 years and I consented before, during, and after, but I talked to a friend and they said that wasn't good, so now I'm gonna go ahead and say that you raped me. Yeah, it's a little bit fucking scary what consent and the definition of rape is, considering that the statute of limitations is 10 years, and a woman has the ability in certain jurisdictions to have 10 years to figure out if they consented after sex. That's insane. That's fucking insane. So I understand when people debate, what does consent mean? I am a person, and if you think this is a bad thing, I am a person where I believe if you consented before, during, and a month after, 2 months after, 3 months after, you are not allowed to change your mind 1 year, 1.5 years, 10 years later. Regret does not equal rape. And more people need to hear that. And I would hope that every human being on earth would agree with me. But unfortunately, liberals exist. And activist judges also exist.
He would engage with. But like, I think that that's for the men. I think Andrew Wilson is for the men to tackle because his audience are so, I mean, I've probably watched 20 hours or more of his podcast, and I've been approached before to come on whatever, and I just said no because I don't think there's any winning, and that's, yeah. So I would want you.
Women's society, it's kind of nuts. Yes, we live in a gynocentric society. Absolutely.
You just speak to your experience of that, because I was frankly not going to go and sit in a room with a bunch of men who don't believe in consent. I was.
What the fuck is she talking about? What?
Spooked.
Yeah, it feels, correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like a commentary on platforming in general. And I have very mixed thoughts about platforming, and maybe you disagree. Maybe it is not a platforming. And so correct me, am I misunderstanding you and saying it somewhat feels...
Maybe a little.
Okay.
Maybe a little, because I'm not big on the argument of you platforming, you're legitimizing these ideas. I think that's actually a really complex and nuanced topic that people slap a big thought-terminating cliche on. You're legitimizing, you're doing this. I was genuinely just worried that, a woman was engaging in the debate. I think that in this instance, when it comes to men like this, it should be a man who engages in that particular debate. And also, I was literally worried for your physical safety. I'm worried for the physical safety of the women who go in person to these podcast environments. I've heard horror stories.
So she's implying that Andrew Wilson is a violent rapist and that Erudite was in danger just because she was in presence of this man. This is fucking psychotic. Lock this bitch the fuck up.
Them forcing you to film for 8-9 hours and then promising you reimbursement, but then they're dragging out the debate until they get until they're satisfied, and only then will they reimburse you. And people have been stranded out in the desert trying to get back home because of like, I've heard horror stories from so many women. Obviously, I'm not going to put them on blast here, but
horror stories, or you saw proof of?
Women who've spoken to me personally about their experiences, and none of them have been good. So I disagreed with you going, because I was just thinking, oh, what is she doing? Nothing to do with platforming, you know?
Yeah. So I suppose in my experience, I have a pretty decent working relationship with Brian Atlas, the host. He repaid me. So we negotiated ahead of time that he was going to pay for travel and stay. And he reimbursed me within 24 hours. So I had no reimbursement issues. Afterwards, he offered to take me out for food. He got food on set, but I've definitely never felt for even a second physically under threat from either of these individuals. Like in no.
I am so proud that Erudite would say that. I've had nothing but a good experience talking to Erudite as well. What a great, good for her for putting her foot down and saying, I've never experienced anything like that. Although I wish she would have said, insane thing to claim on stream with no proof.
Way, shape, or form.
Okay, so in that clip, Tilly makes a lot of incredibly outrageous claims.
Yeah, that's
obviously,
crazy.
First and foremost, the most outrageous claim being that
So
Andrew Wilson is...
I mean, dude, rape accusations are just thrown out on everyone these days. And the women are so casual about it. It's horrifying that women have gotten so comfortable where they're okay with throwing out career-ending accusations just for fun as idle banter. This is horrible.
A rapist. Now again, I'm not even an Andrew Wilson fan. I've been very critical of Andrew Wilson in the past, but one thing that I'm not about to criticize Andrew Wilson for is for being something that he's not. Andrew Wilson is a lot of things. He's an asshole. He's inflammatory. He's provocative, but he's not a rapist. And you can't say that he is.
It's
and
insane.
her argument supporting this claim is that when guests are invited onto the whatever podcast, they're often kept there for several hours at a time, which can often be true. I've seen episodes go for over 6 hours at times. But when you think about it,
that's what you sign up for? That's not rape. Going on a hot take, guys. Going on a podcast for a long time is not rape. Why the fuck do we even need to clarify this?
That is really just a standard working shift for most people working regular jobs that are awaiting reimbursement. Working for over 6 hours consensually is not SA. She additionally states that she worries for guests' safety. The Whatever Podcast channel has been posting since 2013, so that is well over a decade of posting, and every single guest has left physically unscathed, maybe a little bit embarrassed, maybe a little bit shaken up from not being able to debate or defend themselves properly, but no one has ever been actually physically or actually harmed. And
hold up, someone's at my door. Give me a second. If I don't come back, I love y'all.
finally, she claims that guests who are invited onto the Whatever Podcast are left abandoned in the desert. The Whatever Podcast is filmed in Santa Barbara, California. This is a place with a beautiful coastal temperate climate and is surrounded by beaches.
Yeah, but if you're at the beach and you look straight down, it's just sand. So they might be confused and they might just think they're in a desert. So honestly, that's just as bad. That's just as bad as rape, to be honest.
I don't know if Tilly knows what a desert is, but Santa Barbara, California is not a desert.
True.
And even not so erudite, you could see, is just like shocked by what Tilly is saying and even stood up for these people, saying, no, I've actually always felt safe. I have a great working relationship with these people. I've always been paid very quickly after the show. I truly thought that Tilly Middlehurst was a pretty respectable woman, even if we don't agree on absolutely everything.
I do not respect women that make false allegations or empower other women to do the same thing. All of them are fucking disgusting.
But my jaw was hitting the floor when she was saying these things. Because even if I don't care about Brian Atlas or about Andrew Wilson, the things that she is saying and the claims that she is making cause so much harm to all victims of actual SA. Saying that you've been raped because you stayed on a podcast for over 6 hours or your payment was delayed is incredibly harmful to real victims because you are absolutely distorting the gravity of the definition of real sexual violence. Things like this are why victims have such a hard time being believed. Accusing someone of being a rapist is one of the most important and significant accusations you could ever make. So what Tilly is doing here, trivializing one of the most violent crimes imaginable as a rhetorical insult, is so damaging and more insulting to actual victims. It makes it impossible for me to take anything Tilly Middlehurst ever says again seriously because this is just so upsetting. It means that she's the kind of person who's willing to conflate.
If you are a woman that has been, you don't go and tell the internet about it. You go and you tell the fucking police about it. Okay? That is what you do. It's really that easy. It is really that easy.
Any inconvenience with the most grave and terrible crimes a person can conflate. And mind you, one of her other—
Yeah, by the same logic, Asmongold on Steak and Eggs, okay? Using the same logic that this retard used, okay? That's just not how that works, man. That's not how that works.
The criticisms of Andrew Wilson is that he takes issues with some of the more modern definitions of consent. I've never ever heard Andrew Wilson say that he doesn't believe in consent. It's pretty much what Tilly is doing that he's referring to. When Andrew Wilson says that he takes issues with certain modern definitions of consent, he means that he takes issues with people like Tilly saying, I've worked too long today and you're not paying me quickly. I'm being— That's the issue he has. Like I said, Brian has been running this podcast for years, and it might get a little controversial, it might get a little heated, but no one is harmed in the making of the production. And insinuating that literally—
It's also mutually beneficial because one, women haters get content, and two, the OnlyFans girls get a fuck ton of money as dudes blow their loads to how retarded they are. That is why they do it. It is mutually beneficial for all parties.
Guests should feel physically unsafe, and not even insinuating, but blatantly calling Andrew Wilson a rapist is, well, it's a choice that she might get sued for. Because as of right now, this is what Brian Atlas has to say about it. I will be pursuing a lawsuit against Tilly Middlehurst for numerous libelous comments. Further, I strongly encourage Andrew Wilson to pursue his own particularly strong legal claims against this liar. The false and fabricated claims that Andrew Wilson is a rapist are defamation per se. Legal harm to reputation is presumed without needing proof of actual damages. And this is absolutely true. Typically in a defamation case, you actually have to prove malice as well as financial damages.
And that is what is so difficult. Because if a motherfucker is just retarded, they can get away with that shit. That's what's crazy. If someone is stupid enough, they can say all this, and then you can't prove malice, and then you can't do anything about it. It is horrifying how hard it is to win defamation lawsuits.
In order for the case to go anywhere. But when it comes to major claims that you absolutely know already are not true that you make anyway, such as calling someone a rapist, calling someone a sex offender, things like that, you don't actually need to prove any financial damages, and you hardly even have to prove malice if you can just prove that they knew these things weren't true, because the harm to your reputation is
depends on the jurisdiction.
Just assumed. Brian carries on, it's despicable that leftists must resort to such egregious slander without a second thought.
True.
To so casually, falsely accuse someone of is terrifying. She was
Insane.
too much of a coward to debate Andrew Wilson, so instead resorts to pathetic attacks and false accusations. This woman has zero credibility. I would strongly encourage any men, professionally or otherwise, to stay away from this woman, given her propensity for baseless false accusations. I also think this is a really great point. If I was a dude even mildly considering being around Tilly Middlehurst, I would, after seeing this, no longer ever want to be near her with an even 50-foot pole. Because you never know when something might mildly offend or trigger her, and now you're being accused of being a rapist. Yep. Now she's lobbying false accusations against you because you hurt her fifis. Or maybe you just didn't pay her fast enough. Maybe you just didn't give her what she wanted fast enough. Maybe she just feels so entitled to everything happening the exact way that she wants it to happen that if you do not acquiesce to every single demand, she is willing to just ruin your life.
Acquiesce to demands. That is a phrase that I am far too familiar with. Jesus, that is crazy how hearing that string of words can give me so much mental flashbacks. Holy fuck. Jesus Christ.
And this is so terrifying to people because it begs the question, how many other women are just like this? Women who present as beautiful and educated, but are actually malicious, terrifying monsters. I can't even stress this enough. I never want to be in a position where I have to defend Andrew Wilson, and yet you made me be here.
Yep.
Know that Andrew Wilson is mean. There are a lot of Andrew Wilson's worldviews that I absolutely disagree with, but I
think Andrew Wilson's a great guy. I've never seen anything too egregious. Feel free to link me some, but to be honest, he just seems like a dude who knows what he thinks the world should be, and he's very good at clarifying his positions. Women who make false rape claims should be thrown in jail, and the key should be locked away, thrown away. That's what I think. I think these people are scum, and they should be treated as such. Disgusting behavior. If a woman's first intent is to go to the internet rather than the police, that speaks volumes.